to go over the 4.9 release as well as a brief demo. So the two things we're going to cover are the signature widget. This is a new Enketo draw widget that allows a signature mode, and you can request a signature from the patient to denote that it's true or accurate or legally binding or whatever it is the context that your deployment needs to gather a signature from. As well, we've talked about it quite a bit, but Michael's going to cover the multi-area supervisor feature, which allows a supervisor to manage multiple areas. And this includes the updates needed on the admin side, where you define a user and what areas they're assigned to, and then some updates on the end user interface that you can see the list of areas correctly and drill down into the different data docs within there. As well, there's always, bug fixes and tech improvements in every release, which I'm not going to go into, but we have on our release notes. So let's go into the demo on the next slide, I believe, and then, yes, okay. And then I'm actually going to share my screen here where I have my phone set up with a signature widget. So starting from the beginning, we have a 4.9 instance here, and it's configured with this demo form, the signature widget form. And so now we can say, wow, it's a demo signature. This is available obviously in 4.9. And then the widget will prompt you to enter into it where it has focus. And then you can gather the signature of the patient. And then you can get a preview of it here and submit it. One feature that I appreciated is it still adheres to all the Enketo conditions. So I've made this field required. So you can see after I cleared the signature that I actually need to go back in now and add this signature. So now that I've added it, I can submit the form. And as well, this form is visible in the reports that you've submitted. So you can see that here's the report with the signature there, and then it can be synchronized up to the server when we're done. So that's the demo section of it. If anyone has any questions about how this might work, so we'll continue on to the next feature of 4.9, which Michael's going to cover.
Cool. So yeah, for the last few Roundup calls, we've been demoing some early versions of this feature that allows offline users access to data across multiple places in your hierarchy. This feature was really implemented specifically to support supervisors who manage multiple areas. And with this feature, without this feature, supervisors either had to have multiple user accounts, one for each area they managed, or it required a pretty significant hierarchy change. But now in 4.9, it's possible to do this all from one user account. I should mention that while this feature was really designed with supervisors in mind, so they could manage these multiple areas, it will work with other personas as well. If you'd like to see a feature, if you'd like to see a demo of this feature, both from the admin side and from the user's perspective, you can check out this link. Let me just bring up the chat. There you go. Yeah, check out that link. There's some demos in there, but happy to answer any questions you might have right now as well. We are really excited about this, and we've already got a couple of MOH projects that are in the process of implementing this feature. And yeah, it's been something that's been asked for a while, and it's now available in 4.9. It's really about all I wanted to say about this. The forum post has all the details. We've talked about this for a number of weeks, and there's videos in that link as well. But yeah, that's it. Any questions before we move on?
Yeah, there's a question from Marina. Marina, do you want to unmute and ask?
Yeah, absolutely. So the signature future is very good stuff, but I'm really curious about how this is recorded in the report. Is it like
Yeah.
an image? What is it exactly?
Precisely. It's a binary file that's attached to the report in the form of an image. So that is encoded into the form.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Wonderful.
All right, thanks,
Uh,
Marina. I'm gonna give it a few more seconds. Any other questions? Mr. Jones, were you gonna say something?
I was just going to go on to the next slide, but I appreciate you pausing for more questions.
Just in case. But as we go to the next slide, thanks, Niraj.
All right. Please do jump in with questions. We'd love to hear from folks. And Marina, thanks for that question about how the signatures are attached. We are getting more and more community contributions to the releases. So we wanted to highlight the GitHub profiles that committed to 4.9 of Chinher St. Clair and Fardarter. There's also mention of the 8 other medic folks that contributed. This is just a reminder to note that every release notes now has a section for all the contributors. And this is a feature that we added to appreciate and respect all the folks that contribute externally. So we'll probably have more sections like this as there's external contributors. But if you want to go see who's contributed to a specific release as of 4.0 and all releases going forward, we will be highlighting folks that have contributed. So thanks again.
Cool. So one of the things that Care Teams is working on right now is actually a continuation of the work that I just mentioned about supporting supervisors who manage multiple areas. The feature that I just talked about that's in 4.9 did not support aggregate targets for supervisors who managed multiple areas. And we are adding that capability now. The reason we split this work up that way was so that we could release the main feature as quickly as possible, since several projects have supervisors that manage multiple areas, but we're not using aggregate targets. So now we're working on adding this support that allows viewing aggregate targets for users with multiple areas. And that's it for right now, and I'll hand it over to Nicole.
Cool, thanks. Awesome. Hi, I'm Nicole, product designer. You might have heard me talk about navigation updates on the last couple of Roundup calls, but I'm here to tell you about them again because they're kind of a big deal. They're happening soon. We're changing the UI of the CHT to better align to material design so that it's more intuitive and familiar with other apps that CHPs are familiar with using. And that's the top row of the UI is where we're currently at. So we have the fab instead of the bottom bar, which we used to previously have there. And what will happen is that in the navigation update, we'll be moving the tabs from the top row to the bottom and using the top section as a page title. And we're also introducing a drawer for the menu. So the intention isn't to change the functionality or have anything be super jarring for users to see, and we're rolling these out incrementally. This is the last step of our UI evolution. And yeah, it's just to be scalable and more aligned with things like WhatsApp, Messenger, things that people are using. So we have also run some usability tests with users and the new navigation to make sure that it was still going to be usable and learnable. And we've reported on those on the past Roundup calls as well. But we did some new tests since the last call, and we got some really good feedback. So initially, users didn't even notice the change in interface and were able to complete the same tasks without any training. And all of the main actions we asked them to do without any training, like registering a new household, adding a new person, finding where their performance data was all very clear to the cohort we tested with last month. So that's exciting news for us. And that's it for me. Let me know if you have any questions.
So the updates that Nicole just spoke about are expected to be released sometime. We're going to be working on them in Q3, so hopefully they'll be released in end of Q3 or beginning of Q4. As part of that work, we will also be dropping support for some of the old user experiences. So in 3.17, we changed how filter and search looked for users, but we made it possible to re-enable the old experience temporarily as projects migrated users onto the new experience. And in 4.2, we changed how the additive actions were accessed by removing the bottom bar and adding the big blue floating action button. But again, it was still possible to re-enable the old experience temporarily. Actually, in positively, or like in good news, we found that all projects that we found that all projects were either already using the updated user experience or have plans to move their users to this the updated user experience. But if you have some users who are still seeing the old experience, the one with the big red X over them, please reach out as soon as possible because we are, like I said, planning on removing the ability to re-enable those old experiences. That'll be going away ideally later this quarter in coordination with those new UI updates that Nicole was just talking about. So again, I have a little forum post here that talks about that. But if you have any questions now, feel free to ask them or feel free to post questions on that forum post.
Yep, and there's a comment from Robert, excited about the supervisor update. We'll be testing it in Vihiga. Robert, do you want to share anything more about the work in Vihiga?
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, Vihiga is one of the sites running one of the Kenyan sites running the which is version 2, where we have a major challenge with SARS, a type of user managing multiple community units. So I think the update will be very beneficial for them since they had to have multiple accounts to manage each and every community unit.
Awesome. That makes 3 MOH.
Yeah, fantastic news. And we look forward to hearing about more places that will be testing out this new feature.
So I'm just going to walk you through some of the recent feedback we've heard from our users for the Allies team. So recently we rolled out a customer effort score section as part of the recent app developer survey that was rolled out, I think, a few months ago. So this was just for us to collect some feedback on how easy or difficult some of the things we've been hearing about for app developers to do in the CHT. So these various tasks were rated on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being extremely difficult and 5 being extremely easy. So these were the results. The highest rated action was coding in XLS forms, while the lowest rated action in the survey was testing purging rules. So these results will just help us in better understanding the difficulty of some of the issues we've been hearing so far from our users through the research we've been conducting. And it also just help us as we move forward in prioritizing some of these issues and knowing what to work on next for the CHT. One of them are the most recent initiatives that the Allies team has taken up as a way of us understanding the general app developers building experience our technical working sessions. So these sessions are an opportunity for us in real time to just dive deeper into some of the issues that app developers in our community are facing, and then together figuring out a potential solution or just a way forward for how we can work together to resolve some of these issues going forward. So So far, we've been able to conduct to have some of these technical working sessions with some technical partners, and some of the issues we've heard about have already been resolved. The goal for these technical working sessions are just for us to hear more about your issues and also give you an opportunity for us to basically co-work and brainstorm on some of the possible solutions for issues that you're facing, so that in the end, we can all just have a better CHT app building experience. So we would love to have more of these sessions with more app developers in our community. So if you're interested in telling us about some of your issues and us working together on this, we would love to set up a chat. So please reach out to me. You can reach out to me directly or drop your emails in the chat, and we will reach out to set up a technical working session. Back to you, Nekeza.
Wonderful. Thank you, Zite. And I'm sure I speak for you and Nicole when I say thank you so much to everyone that's been part of these conversations that have enabled us have all this learning that you guys have shared today. All fantastic. There's even some emails coming in through the chat. So well done, Zite, for pitching that extremely well. We're now heading over to even more survey results, although this is a survey that was done a few months back for the app developers specifically, and Niraj is going to take us through them.
So one of the things that we look into is understanding the CHT developers' experience with CHT application development process. And then for this purpose, what we do is we send out the CHT application developer survey twice a year to understand what are the challenges developers are facing and what we can do to improve their experience on that one. So right on this Roundup call, we are sharing some of our results from December 2023. And then in this survey, we received response from 28 CHT application developers across 11 different organizations. So as you can see in the pie chart over here on the right, so there has been a different experience from developers with different experience. So some of them have even more than 2 years experience, while some of them have just begun with less than a month experience. So we collected feedback from different ranges of the experience from the CHT application developers. Okay. So moving to the next slide, CHT app developer survey, we asked participants if the current CHT resources are sufficient to build CHT application. So on the response, what we got was majority of participants felt they are somewhat sufficient. So as you can see on the right, we had 4 different options, whether they could have marked it to a great extent, somewhat, very little, and not at all. So we see while there are a group of developers who feel it is sufficient to a great extent, we see majority are still feeling that it is somewhat sufficient. So this gives us a message that there is still room for improvement for us. So to understand better on this one, we ask participants which are the resources they use, so that we can focus on how can we enhance or develop those resources or improve them. So as you can see on this bar chart, so we see the primary resources that CHT application developers use is CHT doc website, and they are also CHT active on the CHT forum, where we can ask about the technical issues or technical support, and then different CHT community members or the medic teammates can also help you on blocking or resolving those issues on the CHT forum. So as you can see, the CHT Academy and CHT GitHub repository, less than half of the developers have been using this as resources. So we see here there is some room to promote these resources to better this support CHT application development. So even to understand, so some of the participants were more detailed. They gave us provided specific on what they would like to see improved in the future on the CHT resources. So just to start with a good one, one of the developers said, I had a hard time getting the CHT instance installed on my Mac. First, there were any guides on M1 users, but kudos to the team that had updated doc to help users with M1 devices get the CHT working. So earlier we had some issues with it. We can see on the right hand, we have CHT app developers using the different operating systems. So somehow it might get like some of the operating systems might experience different kind of issues. So some of the app developers had reported those kind of issues, and then now this has been resolved in the CST new versions. Okay, thanks to the team. I think Maria Chana is here, and then other medic team members are also here who helped on creating this document and then also resolving this issue on the M1. Okay, yeah, highlighting more, we have received multiple requests on tutorials contents for deployments. So as you can see on the screen, one of the participants said, I would really appreciate for the content on working with CHT version 4X in terms of deploying to AWS, managing security and testing. And other participant also said, like, if we could have certain version of deployment that are step to step, if we could move, if we could have video tutorials too for the same. So we hear that, and then now we want to say that we are actively working on adding additional courses on site reliability engineering, which can be a quick guide on CST deployment. So please stay tuned. We'll be updating on this, where the progress is on CST forum as soon as we launch this course. Also, we see some of them have asked like more light to be said, more so in creating of tasks and targets, that is working on it from scratch to working tasks and targets by making the CST Academy to go site for learning any new CST concept. At the moment, Academy site has very few courses. So we appreciate you are looking into the CHT Academy as one of the resources. So now, as I mentioned, we are actively working on adding the more courses. So we are also working on updating the existing courses. So we understand there might be some gaps which cause the participant to say there needs to be more light said on this creating tasks and targets. So we are revisiting our course content and then upgrading it and then updating it both so that it's easier to follow. So this is something that we are working actively, and we'll keep you posted as soon as we have the update on this one too. Thank you for all the feedback we have received on the application developer survey. So you might have also seen like recent ones. So we'll be posting on those what we have heard from the developers and what we are doing on this one on the future round of calls. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Niraj, for sharing those highlights from one of the last developer surveys that we did. And thank you to everyone that participates in those surveys. If you're a developer on this call and has never participated in the survey, we'd love to understand how we can make it a lot more accessible for you. I see in the comments, a YouTube channel would go a long way in improving learning activity. Not once or twice have I found myself confused when I visit CHT.org to learn about something. Niraj, I think we have some videos on the Academy. Do you want to say a bit more about how we could potentially maximize use of video?
Yes, thank you, Demix, if I pronounce it right. Yeah, thank you for those feedback. Yeah, so we do have these videos which we are trying to make it like a module format, short and then easy to follow. And these are linked to the YouTube. But then to make it more organized, we have it on like CHT Academy, which are like complemented with the resources. So we understand we need to do some work on that one, but then we'll also consider maybe having a playlist. Will that kind of thing help? I don't know if Timix, you would like to add like more on this one. What would be more helpful? Maybe you can unmute and then add more comment. What would be more helpful for you or the other developers?
Okay, he says he can't unmute.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'd love to, if I hope that answered or that kind of helped with the issue that you have. If not, feel free to continue to speak in the, okay, he says a playlist would do. Yeah. All right, thanks a lot for that feedback. Happy to receive any more feedback in the chat, or feel free to unmute. In the meantime, just a reminder to everyone on the call, if you have any quick updates that you want to share with the community, please let me know. Just type update in the chat and I'll know to call you out. Also, thanks to Kirade and Eric for your willingness to engage. I see your emails in the chat, and so the team will definitely reach out to you. Once again, encouraging more devs to participate in our survey. I think the next one is going to be out in, is it about 6 months, Niraj?
Yes, Nikisa.
Yeah, but that also will be sharing the details of this last one, I think, in a few weeks. So you can see how the last one went. There's some pretty interesting data there. Yep. I guess finally from me, if you are interested in sharing more elaborately some of your work in our next Roundup call, please let us know in the forum and we'll be sure to reach out and do some planning with you so you can support the August Roundup call. Fantastic. And on that note, unless there's any final comments from any of my speakers, a quick goodbye or a quick, ooh, I forgot to tell you this. I'll give you a couple of seconds. No? Okay. In that case, thank you so much to everyone for participating in this Roundup call, and we look forward to seeing you August 8th for the next one. Look out for the details of this Roundup call, the video, and some of the notes on the forum in the coming days. Yep. I've been Nakesa, Director of Community, and it's been a pleasure to host the call, and we look forward to continue to engage on our different spaces.